The first time I walked into Eli Miller's hay barn in East Hempfield Township in the middle of August, I expected heat. I expected the usual punishment. I expected trapped heat. I expected the sharp plastic smell you get under a modern roof after noon. I expected the air to sit on my shoulders like wet canvas. What I found instead broke something. The lane was white dust. The tin roof flashed in the sun. Cicadas were drilling from the hedgerow. Inside, the light was milky and high, dropping through the cupola slats in thin bars. I felt the difference before I understood it. My neck cooled first, then my back, then my breathing slowed. The roof above me had been taking direct sun for hours, but the air inside moved like shade. I stood there for 11 minutes looking for the thing I thought had to be doing the work. I looked for a fan. I looked for a compressor. I looked for ductwork. I looked for a powered vent whining somewhere overhead. It wasn't there. And that's when I understood I'd been wrong about everything. What hit me in that barn was not a product. It was a principle. Keep the roof from becoming a battery. Give hot air a high exit. Force the sun to lose before it enters the house. That was the moment the title of this video stopped sounding dramatic and started sounding literal. Your roof is cooking you alive because it is built to store heat first. Then it dumps that heat on you later. I had carried every modern assumption into that barn. I thought comfort came from tonnage and amperage. I thought relief came from sealed rooms and bigger machines. I thought the answer lived in a thermostat. The rafters above me said otherwise. Stop the gain. Move the air. Do it before the ceiling ever warms. That is why an old farm roof can feel calm at 3 in the afternoon. A new suburban roof still burns you at sunset. I walked back outside and put my palm on the metal. It was hot. Then I stepped inside again and felt moving shade. That contrast stayed with me. It still does today. Outside, the roof was taking the full hit. Inside, the building was refusing to keep the blow. I've been going back to Lancaster County every summer for 3 years, and every time I find something the building industry forgot on purpose. The first summer I drove home from that barn, I kept thinking about upstairs bedrooms in ordinary subdivisions. Dark shingles, low attic vents, west-facing ceilings. You know the feeling. The air conditioner quits at dinner, but the room keeps pushing heat at you until midnight. Most people blame the thermostat. They blame the weather. The first betrayal happened higher up, where the roof got an 8-hour head start. In the Miller barn, there was almost no lag. The roof refused to bank the day's heat. The hottest thing inside was the sunlight itself, not the structure holding it. That difference is everything. It means comfort starts above your head, long before air reaches a register, fan blade, or bedroom wall. Here is the promise. A roof in full sun can hit 150 degrees Fahrenheit. A reflective surface under the same conditions can stay more than 50 degrees cooler. You can start changing that for the price of a $7 to $14 bag of lime. Or you can build the longer-lasting retrofit for less than a monthly utility bill. And yes, this works, even if your house was built 50 years ago. It still works if you live in a city. It still works if you have never done this before. Stay with me, because what I found in Lancaster County uses the same physics Persians used to cool desert homes more than 2,000 years ago. The science is brutally simple. Your roof gets hit by radiation, stores part of it, then passes that heat down by conduction and convection. The Department of Energy says conventional roofs can reach 150 degrees on a sunny afternoon. Under the same conditions, a reflective roof can stay more than 50 degrees Fahrenheit cooler. Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory pushes the number further. A clean white roof reflecting 80% of sunlight stays about 55 degrees cooler than a gray roof reflecting 20%. That is not magic. That is arithmetic. In 1957, University of California agricultural engineers T.E. Bond, C.F. Kelly, and N.R. Ittner tested white paint on galvanized farm roofs. With outside air at 100 degrees, the painted west roof ran 42.6 degrees cooler than the unpainted section. Their calculations showed indoor air differences as great as 28 degrees between white-painted and unpainted buildings. One color change, one afternoon. A whole different thermal reality. Heat has 3 doors. Conduction warms the deck. Radiation jumps the gap. Convection carries the leftovers. Miss one door, and you still lose the room. Address all 3, and the problem shrinks fast. That is why thicker insulation alone never feels like enough in August. Insulation slows the march. Reflection changes the battle. Ventilation removes the wounded. And here is the part people notice at night. A dark roof does not stop hurting when the sun drops. It keeps re-radiating heat into the attic after sunset. That is why second floors stay angry at 10 p.m. even when outdoor air is finally tolerable. The roof is still paying off the debt it stored all afternoon. Think about your car in a parking lot. The metal skin takes the hit first. Then the cabin becomes the punishment chamber. Your attic works the same way. The Department of Energy explains that radiant barriers do not slow heat like fluffy insulation. They re-emit radiant heat instead of absorbing it, but only when they face an airspace. That air gap matters. Without it, you do not have a shield. You have a shiny mistake. Your own body already understands this. Sweat buys time before your core overheats. A smart roof does the same. It reflects first. It emits second. Then moving air carries away what remains. The Amish did not read this in a textbook. They figured it out the way all real knowledge gets discovered, by paying attention to what the body was already doing. So the field metric here is solar reflectance. That means 0.80 units of rejected sunlight for every 1 unit hitting a white roof, versus 0.20 on a dark one. Add high thermal emittance, and the roof sheds what little heat it keeps. Oak Ridge National Laboratory found radiant barrier retrofits in Florida homes cut cooling energy by 9% and peak load by 16%. The Environmental Protection Agency says cool roofs can cut peak cooling demand by 11 to 27%. It also says they lower maximum indoor temperatures in homes without air conditioning by 2.2 to 5.9 degrees Fahrenheit. That gap represents a massive market in equipment, replacements, and service every year. And that is why you have never heard of this. In Lancaster County, I felt the proof before Eli explained it. The roof over his barn was light-colored. The loft air moved upward without noise. No motor, no humming fan, no thermostat clicks. I could hear swallows in the rafters and wagon tires on the lane, but nothing mechanical overhead. When I asked why the upper space stayed bearable, Eli ran his hand along a post polished by 4 generations. He said, "Heat wants the high road." Then he smiled. "Give it 1. A second time, later that afternoon, his brother Reuben pointed at the pale roof and the cupola together. He did not separate them. "You do both," he said. "Keep the sun off. Let the top breathe." That sentence stayed with me because it was so untheatrical. No branding, no gadget, just sequence. I stayed until evening chores. As the sun lowered, the upper air never turned sour. No trapped chemical smell, no superheated dust, just dry hay, wood, and moving air. Lydia laughed when I asked if they ever wished for powered fans in that barn. "Only when people visit," she said. "They stand still too long." His family had built that way for more than 200 years. He told me the roof habits came down through Mennonite and Amish lines that reached back to the Palatinate and Canton Burn. There, lime, bright coatings, and high venting were ordinary farm knowledge. Not fancy, ordinary. That knowledge never disappeared. It was filed away. It was waiting. The Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission still documents ridge ventilators, cupolas, and louvered openings. They kept hay and grain from overheating and pulled air from ground level to roof. A 1917 USDA dairy barn ventilation bulletin said roof ventilators aided the displacement of air within the stable and protected against storm. Long before any of us argued online about roofing colors, the Persians had already solved this. In Yazd, Badgear wind catchers rose above rooftops and dropped moving air into living spaces. BBC reports studies showing wind catchers can reduce indoor temperatures by around 10 degrees. Many were rectangular with openings on all four sides because desert wind does not ask your permission. The Egyptians arrived at the same answer without knowing Persia's blueprints. PBS describes the mulkaf as a tall, wind-facing opening that scoops prevailing air downward and vents heat out through other openings. Different empire. Same idea. Use height, use flow, refuse stored heat. Every civilization that mastered extreme heat arrived at the same answer independently. The Amish never forgot. They carried it from the Palatinate and Canton Burn to Pennsylvania more than 250 years ago. They kept building it because it worked. They never needed anyone's permission to do what made sense. Now comes the part that should make you angry. In 1903, Henry Reynolds of Grand Rapids started cutting asphalt-saturated roofing rolls into shingles. That decision helped create a product America would replace again and again. What did reflective roofs, bright coatings, and long-life metal threaten? Repeat sales, service calls, entire re-roof cycles worth billions. The mechanism was slow. That is why it worked. In 1911, the National Board of Fire Underwriters began pushing hard against wood roofing after urban fires, and asphalt got its opening. By the 1920s, Bird and Son had the Neposet twin-strip shingle in mass production. By the 1950s, the industry had standardized the 12 by 36 three-tab shingle. Dark, cheap, replaceable roofing became normal. Post-war builders copied what moved fastest. Architecture schools taught mechanical comfort. Roofing catalogs sold heat absorption as ordinary. Nobody told you. Not your builder. Not your contractor. Not the man who sold you a bigger air conditioner. The rewrite also happened in language. Builders stopped saying summer roof. They started saying cooling load. Designers stopped saying shade. They started saying capacity. Once heat became a mechanical load, every answer came with a motor, a warranty card, and a monthly bill. That is how a principle older than empire gets demoted into a line item. The Allies are not hard to name. House magazines sold the dream of sealed modern comfort. The Federal Housing Administration subsidized standardized post-war housing. Carrier and the air conditioning industry sold the machine that fixed the heat trap those roofs helped create. Johns Manville, Carlisle, and later giant roofing manufacturers made fortunes selling the replacement layer, then the accessories, then the next replacement layer. Media fed aspiration. Government normalized the template. Industry invoiced the cure. An entire field of knowledge disappeared from architecture schools, building habits, and contractor instincts, not because it failed, because it was not profitable. And the continuation is not history, it is current. Floodlight News reported that in Denver in 2015, industry advocates helped defeat a cool roof proposal. In Baltimore in 2022, the EPDM Roofing Association and the Asphalt Roofing Manufacturers Association lobbied hard against a cool roof ordinance. Why? Because dark systems protect market share, and EPDM systems can carry high-margin seam tapes and sealants that reflective alternatives do not need. In national code fights, industry representatives bragged they had stopped cool roof mandates from creeping into climate zones 4 and 5. They never argued that reflection failed. They argued that the mandate should stop before it touched their colder markets. Not because it failed, because the profit margin was better on what you already buy. If you think this sounds emotional, read the paperwork. In 2009, ARMA's Cool Roof Steering Group was already discussing ASHRAE 90.1 addenda and where cool roof rules should stop. The fight was never over whether reflectance worked. The fight was over geography. Keep the mandate narrow. Keep colder markets exempt. Keep dark inventory moving. That is not ignorance. That is market defense. The roofing and cooling economy in America is worth tens of billions a year. Every passive fix you install is equipment never upsized, roofing never replaced early, and electricity never sold twice. Now, if you already own a house and you're thinking this only applies to people building from scratch, stay with me. Because this next part is specifically for you. You don't need to tear up your foundation, rip out your existing system, or buy equipment. You need one thing they already have or can easily get: a yard, a drill, a bottle, a weekend. If you want the fast proof of concept, start outside with reflection. If you have a galvanized shed roof, a painted metal porch roof, or an exposed utility roof, wash it first. Then mix Type S hydrated lime with clean water until it looks like thin cream. Add a small amount of salt for grip and a little non-fat dry milk for casein bond. One 6-pound bag costs $7 to $14. 2 coats rolled 24 hours apart give you a bright, sacrificial surface that reflects hard sun instead of swallowing it. On a bad July afternoon, even an imperfect white coat changes the touch temperature immediately. Use a 3/8-inch nap roller on broad metal panels and a 4-inch brush at laps and screws. Work before 10 a.m. if the roof is in full sun. If the pitch is steeper than 6 to 12, do not play hero. Use a roof jack, a harness, or do the test section on a shed first. The goal is not perfection. The goal is proof. Once you watch a white patch stay touchable beside a dark patch, the argument ends. But for a house you plan to keep, the stronger move is inside the attic. Staple low-E radiant foil across the underside of the rafters, not on the attic floor. Leave a 1.5-inch air gap between foil and roof deck. Keep at least 2 inches clear at the ridge or gable exit. If your rafters are 24 inches on center, run the foil in continuous bays and tape seams with foil tape. Use 1-inch stainless staples every 8 inches. If the attic is bare, add foam or cardboard baffles at each soffit bay so incoming air can climb without hitting insulation. The Department of Energy is explicit here. The reflective surface must face airspace. That airspace is not optional. Pressing foil tight against the sheathing turns a working barrier into decorative trash. Do not cover recessed lights that are not insulation contact rated. Keep 3 inches clear around old metal flues. If you see roof leaks, stop and fix those first. Wet insulation lies to you. It makes the house feel random when the problem is simple. Water steals performance. Heat multiplies the damage. If you want numbers, spend $19 to $29 on an infrared thermometer. Check the dark roof section at 2 p.m. Then check the white test patch. Then check the attic foil facing. Write it down. Data matters. A 12-degree drop is real. A 25-degree drop is common on exposed metal. A 40-degree swing is possible under brutal sun. Once you measure it, nobody can talk you back into pretending roof color is cosmetic. Then create the exit path. If you already have gable vents, clear them. If you have a ridge vent, make sure insulation is not choking the last 12 inches below the peak. If you have neither, install 2 14 by 14-inch gable vents first, or test a compact cupola-style exhaust on an outbuilding before touching the house. Use Schedule 40 PVC spacers, cedar battens, foil-faced polyiso scraps, and bug screen where needed. On a 95-degree day, this setup can change the upstairs from punishing to usable. It can also stop attic surfaces from acting like a cast iron skillet above your ceiling. Most people can do the attic portion in one Saturday morning if the space is open. Tight framing usually means 2 weekends. A 500-square-foot attic usually takes 1 500-square-foot foil roll, 1 box of staples, and 1 roll of foil tape. Add 8 to 12 baffles and maybe $18 to $36 in screening and fasteners. Total cost lands around $128 to $286. Check it once a year. Replace torn sections every 12 to 15 years if needed. The other reason this works is boring. Boring is good. There is no compressor to seize, no capacitor to swell, no refrigerant charge to leak. Once the foil is up and the air path is clear, the system just sits there doing physics. Quietly, every hot day, every year. Your conventional roof and AC answer costs $9,000 to $22,000 to install. It costs $146 to $312 per month to run in hot months. It lasts 12 to 20 years before major parts head toward a landfill. This costs $128 to $286 total. It lasts 12 to 20 years. Your choice. Everything I've covered across this channel, root cellar airflow, gravity-fed water, lime wash wall finish, I've put it all in one place. Step by step, season by season, room by room, in the order the families actually use it. The link is in the description. But stay here, because what Eli built into that roofline is the part nobody is talking about yet. That is the whole secret. Not complexity, not software, not another financed box on your wall, a roof that rejects heat, an attic that lets hot air leave, a house that stops fighting its own materials, old knowledge, cheap materials, direct results. If you're the kind of person who believes real knowledge has been pushed aside to protect someone else's profit, you already know exactly what to do. Hit subscribe, not for me, for what comes next. Because this is not a channel. This is a quiet movement of people who have decided they're done being sold what they already own. I want to hear from you. Drop your state. Drop your highest summer electric bill. Tell me whether your grandfather ever talked about white roofs or attic vents in the comments. I read every single one. And your answers decide what we cover next. Next week, I'm going to show you what a 1946 Penn State document reveals about keeping food cold without a compressor. The technique uses nothing but wet burlap, moving air, and shade. And the report from 1946 proves agricultural engineers knew about it generations before selling you another appliance. You're not going to want to miss that one.